Good day. This is the last lesson in Developmental Reading 1. Assessment in Reading. Reading assessment has a great power to inform researchers, teachers, administrators, and policymakers. Assessment practices can significantly benefit the learning environment or they can inflict great harm. So, reading assessment, therefore, needs to be treated with great care, attention, and respect. Teachers especially have a responsibility to understand the uses and the impacts of reading assessment and be mindful of the consequences of assessment. The 5 purposes for reading assessment. Number 1, reading proficiency assessment. Assessment of reading proficiency is important as a way to understand students' overall reading abilities and to determine if students are appropriately prepared for further learning and educational advancement. Number 2, assessment for classroom learning. Assessment of reading improvement in classroom settings involves the measurement of skills and knowledge gained over a period of time and is commonly referred to as summative or achievement testing. For assessment for learning, this assessment purpose is intended to support and promote student learning. In this case, the improvement of reading abilities, performance evaluation, or on a record of outcomes is not the goal. Instead, the goal is to provide immediate feedback on tasks and to teach students to engage in more effective learning. For number 4, assessment of curricular effectiveness. Assessment of curricular effectiveness and program evaluation is not specific to reading, but it is relevant for the development and or review of reading curricula. Assessment outcomes that apply to curricular effectiveness include standardized testing, cumulative records over years that indicates gains or losses in students' outcomes, interviews with teachers, students, and school administrators on summative test performance, feedback from institutions that receive graduates from the program or school, and innovative assessments that highlight a specific school or program goals. For example, the project work, motivation, extensive reading, writing skills, or collaboration and group work. For number 5, assessment for research purposes. Assessment for research purposes is a topic that it is not generally addressed in assessment chapters, but it is one that is very important for reading research results as well as for their implications for reading instruction. Research studies sometimes use standardized assessment instruments to measure students' levels or students' instructional outcomes. In other studies, however, researchers develop their own reading assessment measures for a variety of reasons. The major components, abilities for reading comprehension. So the reader must be or have the abilities for reading comprehension like the fluency and reading speed, automaticity and rapid word recognition, search processes, vocabulary, knowledge and morphological knowledge, syntactic knowledge, text structure awareness and discourse organization, main ideas comprehension, recall of relevant details, inferences about text information, strategic processing abilities, summarization abilities, synthesis skills, and evaluation and critical reading. For the standardized reading assessment task format, so these task formats that can be used to assess the reader, like the close, the gap filling formats or the rational close formats, the C test or retain initial letters of words removed, the close elide or remove extra word, text segment ordering, text gap, choosing from a heading for identified paragraphs, multiple choice, sentence completion, matching and multiple matching techniques, classification into groups, dichotomous items. These are the true or false or not stated and yes or no questionnaire, and the editing, short answer, free recall, summary. It should be one sentence or two sentences or 5 to 6 sentences. Information transfer like graphs, tables, flowcharts, outlines, and maps. Project performance, scheming, and scanning. For the classroom-based assessment practices that the teacher must be done inside the classroom. So number one is observation. So first, the teacher will observe the students uh, during the activity inside the classroom. The next guideline is self-reporting measures. And number three, progress charts. The teacher will make progress charts of the students during the activity. Number four is performance inventories. So the teacher will collect or uh, the performance of the students during the activity. For number five, participation and engagement records. So allow the students to participate and engage on the activity inside the classroom and the teacher will records. And the last is portfolio. So all of the activity that had done by the students will compile in our portfolios. The next is informal assessment formats, and here are the guidelines that the teacher can be used to the students. Number one is have students read aloud in class and evaluate the reading. Keep a record of student responses to questions in class after a reading. Keep notes on students' participation in class discussions on a reading. Observe what reading material is read during free reading. Observe how much time students spend on tasks during free reading. Have students do paired readings and observe. Observe students reading with an audio tape or listen to an audio tape reading. Have students list strategies they have used while reading. Have students list words they want to know after reading and why. Have students keep diaries or reading journals. Have students write simple book reports. Have students recommend books. Ask students about the reasons for choosing certain answers in reading tasks and activities. Ask students about the reading progress. Ask students about their goals for reading with various texts or tasks. Keep charts of students' readings. Keep charts of student reading rate growth. Record how far a student reads on an extended reading task. Have a student read and then have a discussion on the text one-on-one. Have a student read aloud for the teachers and make notes or use a checklist or note miscues on the text one-on-one. Have students do think alouds while reading one-on-one again. Have students enact a scene, episode, and event from a text. And note the uses of text in a multi-step project and discuss. Have students fill out simple questionnaires of interests and engagement levels in various tasks. And the last is create student portfolios of reading activities or progress indicators. For the assessment for learning techniques, here are the guidelines that the teacher will use to the students during the activity. Teachers wait 3 to 5 seconds after asking a question without answering the question when students are silent, or without switching to a strong student for the answer. Teachers ask students to generate good questions about reading text that could be included on a test of some sort. Students learn how to formulate good questions about the text they read, and their questions then appear on quizzes and comprehension checks. Teachers move from traditional question and answer sequences about reading passages to questions that begin a discussions with students about their understanding of the text. Teachers withhold grades on student work until students respond to comments on their assignments like multiple text synthesis filled in graphic organizers. In many cases, teachers do not provide grades at all, only comments. Teachers deal with wrong answers or performance difficulties in ways that engage students in finding good answers and achieving task success. Teachers provide feedback to encourage student learning. Teachers engage in why questions and why follow-up questions to generate discussions about an answer. Students engage in self-assessment, monitoring their comprehension and their levels of success in carrying out during reading and post-reading activities. Students work in groups to answer questions and are given time to work out answers together. Students set learning goals at the outset of instruction. Students assess the work of other students, usually through comments rather than specific grades. Students select a peer who will answer a question, for example, by drawing a student's name from a hat. Students learn to monitor their non-comprehension of a text or task and signal for assistance when they have difficulty. Students review their own learning effectiveness. Students redo their answers on a reading task or a quiz, often with peer support. Students use traffic light discs like green on one side, red on the other to silently signal to the teacher that they are doing well or having trouble when working on their own or in groups. So here are the a chart example of self-assessment for reading skills of the students for the students rather. So in the knowledge, the students can write about why is it important to learn how to read. For the skills, students can write, can I read high frequency sight words such as my name, my classmates' names, the days of the week, and the months of the year. For communication, the students can write like, am I able to answer teachers' questions after reading a story? And for the insight, the students can write also like, how can I read faster and understand the story better? So that's all for the lesson 10. Thank you.